Hi, everybody. My name is Sarita Scherpereel, and I am not your mother's realtor. And this is my podcast, Shit Just Got Real Estate. And as always, I'm joined by my best friend and co-host, Megan Osberger.
Hello, everyone. We have really exciting guests today.
My favorite.
Yes, we have Sarita's friends and clients, George and Steve, and my kind of friends. I feel like really connected to you guys after bonding that night at her birthday party. So I didn't want to separate myself, but
all friends. Absolutely. That's a fantastic night. Sarita, I think that was the night that you had an ankle incident too.
It's a little fuzzy for me. Those parties kind of ran together. I had, for our guests in our international market and people joining us in Dubuque, I had a backyard during COVID, which was highly sought after because I was able to actually have people over, which was really wonderful. And a part of that was people getting to meet. So Megan got to meet George and Steve. And I know Megan fell in love with Steve. George is great. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like you guys had,
but I do still feel like an idiot for not renting at a movie theater to watch Jurassic Park with both of you. I know it was a big missed opportunity on my end.
But so I've known you guys for just a hot minute, basically COVID friends. I met you guys through kickball at the beginning of, I guess, when we got out of quarantine last year, right? Is that the first time we met in the summer?
I would say it's before quarantine. I think we're 2 years now.
2 years?
Right before quarantine, I think.
Quarantine. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. I mean, honestly, time is flying. And you guys were sort of searching for properties. So your search was a little different. You guys want to talk a little bit about how this went from 0 to 100 real fast?
Well, the week that we put the offer in, at the beginning of the week, our mind was 50-50. Let's move out to Denver so we can have that good old fashioned outdoor mountain lifestyle, or stay in Chicago so we can be close to family and friends, with no expectation of buying anytime soon. That was Monday. By Wednesday, we put an offer in.
Yeah.
We kind of did that too. But so was this the first place you saw?
Second place you saw.
The second.
Yeah, they only saw two places.
We even got drunk on Sunday and semi broke up just a little bit. And then we put an offer on Wednesday.
George, we'll tell the story in order.
Yeah. So it was a whirlwind of a week.
It was.
Yeah. Well, so I guess to kind of backtrack it a little bit, a few months before we saw the property you guys are currently moved into right now.
Yeah.
So it happened. So before that, we saw, we saw one property together, and that property was really interesting. It ended up not being for you guys. So I took another buyer back to see it, wrote an offer, couldn't come to terms, but it was really helpful. I always tell clients, even if you just want to peek at something, I always find it really helpful. So in this case, it was not for you. And I had somebody else I thought might be interested in it, and it was for them. Now it didn't come to be, but I always tell people hit me up for anything. And that was kind of an interesting, and the only other one you saw besides the one you're living in.
We planned on seeing several other ones, as we were gradually trying to figure out what we wanted to do as we grow up and get older. I didn't know
you don't need to apologize for being efficient, is what I would say.
A great point. But so it was Monday morning, after a long Monday at work, we're laying in bed, about to go to bed. Our faces aglow with phone screen light. And George says, have a look at this, and shows me a post on Zillow. And I really dug it. Let's text Sarita. We texted you at, I think, at 11:30 p.m. Reasonable hour. Oh, I thought we texted that night.
I know you said Monday
Oh,
morning.
sorry.
My time.
Sure. That evening.
That night,
and then we had a showing the Tuesday afternoon, and we were trying to figure out what the catch was. It seemed really great for the price. And it was beautiful. Location is great. It was in the uptown neighborhood, which we've always believed in.
And you guys have 100 porches, right? I looked at all of the pictures.
One big,
One big
deck. There's a big
call
deck.
it a deck.
A deck. Yeah.
It's a big deck.
We just have a big, just a big deck. It's just a big deck.
It's a big deck.
Size matters. I'm just gonna say it.
I'll have
It's
to,
the biggest one I've ever seen.
I'll have to send you a picture of our big deck because they'll send you a deck pack.
Well, but we were trying to figure out what the catch was of this property because the owners had only, the previous owners, the sellers, had only owned this thing for like 18 months max. Like they bought last year pre-pandemic, and now it had been about 18 months and they were going to sell. So
there was no explanation on that at all. It wasn't like someone got
okay, like, yeah, let's get into this a little bit. So go ahead, Steve.
We eventually found out, but it was a mystery the entire process. What is it? What's around the corner? There's got to be some, like skeleton closet that we didn't know it was going to be. Put you on edge.
When we first came in and saw the place, they told us that the couple, they had an 18-month-old and they had a small child. And they're like, hey, they wanted to move back to the suburbs to be closer to their family for help. Cool, great. But we were also like, what's going on? Because they redid the floors, they put in new appliances, washer, dryer, and they redid the guest bathroom. So it's like, why are you gonna put that much money into it in a year and then just kind of like get up and leave?
Mm-hmm.
So we were always waiting for like that gotcha moment.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to tell me there's like a huge special assessment or something, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah. And then when we did our closing day, they apparently had their Q4 HOA meeting, and someone knocked on our door, invited us to the HOA meeting. So we went to go see that. Really cool. The HOA is very on point. It's up to date. Really great communication. Loved the meeting. But in the meeting, it turns out that in 2020, some interesting things happened in Uptown. Like someone pooped by the doorstep. There was a naked man running up and down the street. And the couple here just decided, hey, this is a little bit too crazy for us.
I thought you meant that they pooped by the doorstep.
No,
I'm sorry. Wait.
They're literally shitting on their property at this point.
And then they get out of here. And then they skip town.
Okay. Oh, okay. Just regulation.
So let's actually take a step back because we didn't talk about a couple of things that happened. So in terms of like the waiting every minute of this deal, first of all, you haven't seen a lot of properties, and then you go into this property 0 to 100 real fast. They were complete dickheads about the negotiation, right? Like, so from the start, I felt like they were like, this is our price, take it or leave it. And I had a hard time with this because I loved the space. I thought this was like an ideal location and place for me. It offered basically a room to grow. It's everything that you guys should have for a property. And I also had an affinity for it. I mean, heated parking, a big deck, like, all of,
fireplace.
All of this. Yeah. Fireplace. Yeah. I mean, just completely wonderful, new appliances, everything. So there was always that like, what's going to happen here? And then we get to the inspection and we walk up to the building and there is
eagle eyes over here.
Yeah. You see it, George. Tell us what you saw.
It's so on the third story outside, hanging out the window, it says water leak on a 12 by 8 piece of paper.
Big sign. Yeah.
Just above the third floor person, right above our unit. I was like, what's that? And then I remember like when we brought the realtor goes, what? I don't see a water leak. And like, we're like, it's right there. And we pointed right up to him. And he looked at every other window, but the exact window that it was. And it's like, no, it's right there.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what's going on? Where? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't cheat at Will. Where's Waldo? Like,
yeah. Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Well, and I was looking, I guess like I definitely need glasses. So I was actually having a hard time reading what it said. And then when we got closer, I was like, oh yeah, that says water leak real big on a sign.
This is not there for your first showing or for your showing, but it is there for the inspection. Is that right?
Well, we were there at night for the first showing. So like it had already been, it was like dusk, like the sun was setting, like it was like a beautiful sunset, but I don't think we were able to see like very specifically that sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were able to see it.
Yeah. So first, I mean, that's like a trigger right there, right?
Yeah,
like that's a huge red flag because you walk into the property and you're like, oh shit, all that stuff we were talking about, like, why have they only owned it for 18 months and now they're selling and they basically sort of didn't finish their rehabs, with the, maybe, we got just the photo.
1 minute decline.
Oh, la la. I like that photo, Steve. That's a good photo. Very handsome.
I look professional and respectable. It's a lie.
But yeah, so that was like a huge indicator. And then, we tried to work with them on like, hey, do you know anything about this? And their sellers were like, nope, don't know anything. Don't even see a sign. The agent couldn't find the sign. We know nothing.
That's crazy that they were gaslighting you so hard.
My God. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, huge red flag.
It ended up not being that much, but it's, again, since we were trying to figure out the catch, and we were really anxious about that, also having not looked at a whole lot of properties, that was just a point of anxiety through the whole process, and that little sign did not make it any better.
No.
Well, we got through the inspection, and the inspector noticed that there was like a little bit of around the top part of the threshold of the door, there was some soggy wood with this little moisture reading. He read a 47% moisture reading, and we looked at the past weather. It hadn't rained in 4 days. So we thought, that's pretty soggy wood for having not rained in 40 days. That leads to suspicion of, some other leaks. So it didn't scare us away because the amount that it would have cost to replace that door and the masonry work behind there to fix a leak, if there was one, would have fallen on the HOA. So it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't a deal breaker for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we, at that point too, knew that the space that you guys have is pretty rare. And, you start looking at even trying to pull comps and see if there's anything else that maybe we could go take a showing on that's on the market. And there wasn't even anything else we could pull to compare it to. Then you kind of start seeing like, oh, we have a real, something that's special. Besides the fact that like, I really do believe like, especially uptown with the new building that they have, that's not too like what a block-ish away from you guys, 2 blocks, you're close to a lot of new development, new opportunities that are over there. Like we just believe in it a little bit more, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And what makes this space so unique for us is the really open floor plan. And in Uptown, you have a lot of rehabbed gray stone homes. By the way, I loved your post about gray stone versus brownstone the other day.
Oh, that's because too, George, he asked the question on TikTok and I was like, you know what, that's actually a really good point because it's, the property material and not necessarily the style, but you do have a lot of that in this kind of like northern area of the city because that area survived the fire. So you see a lot of these homes that are a lot older than some of the historical parts of like Lincoln Park and Lakeview.
And so a lot
smaller room,
smaller
layouts.
Yeah. Right.
Smaller rooms, more chopped up, no big open spaces.
Yeah.
And that was really important to us.
Yeah.
Our last rental had that. And it was fun to have people over.
Right. And I think too, like when we walked into this space, because it was such a big open living room into a dining room, into a massive kitchen. And then obviously again, that big deck, like it all just kind of like added up to like, oh, wow, this is like, great. Yeah.
It looked better in real life than in the pictures.
Yeah.
That rarely happens.
Yeah. That's really rare. That's awesome. You guys, you did it.
Yeah. It's been great. But then after the inspection, then we go into the attorney review process, and then, you know, things got a little sticky there. And I think it was, so first off, in choosing an attorney, my brother recommends you choose somebody who is really good at explaining things in your language so that you understand the legal implications of doing all this. Well, as a first-time buyer, I think I would have appreciated not just that, but also a little bit more of, hey, is this standard or is this atypical? Because I don't have any experience going through this negotiation process.
Yeah.
And the standard form contract for offers has some weird stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Main one that really stuck out for me was, if you can't secure financing by these terms by the I think it's the first commitment date, then the seller can go out and secure a 30-year agreement on your behalf. That just seems absurd to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's in the standard language of the contract. And so my attorney said, I think you're going to hate this. And when he explained it to me, I said, yes, I definitely do hate this. Let's have that stricken in our negotiation process. And he said that that's totally standard for it to be removed, but that ended up being the sticking point with the seller.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, so in most deals, it's just taken off the record immediately, because if, let's say you guys couldn't get financing, and then like with the lender that you wanted, you just would try to find in your own time, your own lender. The reason why that language is there is that it gives the seller some show of responsibility, some faith that, like, okay, if they can't do this, we'll do some research. We'll try to find you a guy or girl that can like bring you the loan that you need in these terms that you need. Now, most of the time, again, this is just stricken from the record. It's a non-point. You don't talk about it because the attorneys just take it off the clauses anyways. Yeah. But these sellers were really wrapped up in this. And so then I had to have a call and a conversation with the listing agent, and the listing agent then had to talk to his clients. And, you know, I think that two things happen. One, people are just ignorant when they don't, like, everyone's ignorant on real estate, right? You just don't know until you're doing something what it is. And so they needed it to be explained and broken down into layman's terms. But also too, they needed exactly what you're saying. They needed somebody to say, hey, this is not normal. We take this off the record, and that is standard. That taking it off the record is standard, but keeping it on is not normal. And those couple of days paired with all of the red flags and the water leak sign, and, you know, why are they selling in 5 seconds? Like, that
really was within 4 days. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It was a really, I mean, I remember we were like talking first thing in the morning, early at night, late at night too, because there was a lot to speculate on. And you have to know, like, okay, well, if this doesn't go our way, how do we get out? How do we save our earnest money? How do we, like, you know, get out of this without it like costing us more money?
Right.
And that's the speculation. I feel like that's the worst fucking part, right? Like,
it really is.
Yeah. That's when you start like wanting to eat your feelings in food, because it's just like,
well, I think that's also the point in time where on the other side of it, you're talking to your lender and they're giving, then you're finally being exposed to the list of closing costs as those are coming in and getting more clear. And by more clear, I mean increasing every time new line items get added to that list. So that's probably the most tense part of the process from my perspective. But it would, like, looking back, all of those anxieties, I none of them were that big. It was more that we didn't know, and we don't know what we don't know.
Well, how do you think, I mean, how do you think then you were able to kind of push through all that? I know in hindsight, this is all easy to talk about and it ended up being not a big deal, but I know during those talks, it was very stressful. Right. And I think you had a concussion too.
Oh, that's right. And then, like, that's right. At the end of that,
can I share that, or does that have to be stricken from the record?
Oh, no. I will happily share this. So amidst all of this chaos, we go to an amazing wedding. Two of our lovely friends had a wedding at Adler Planetarium. At the very end of an awesome wedding, we're we just had a blast on the dance floor. We're all waiting for our Ubers at the end of that peninsula. You know how that is at Adler. And you know, when you have a few drunk people waiting for Ubers, we get a little, you know.
What do you mean we?
Okay, I did. I got bored. And I was looking for things to do.
George.
I was minding my business, sitting on the stool.
I see these.
My ripped pants, because I have ripped pants. I ripped them in the wedding. Who doesn't?
Post-pandemic wedding. Of course, you're gonna rip pants.
Yeah, barely fit. And then you decide, she's like, "Oh, look, a railing. Let me just slide down it."
Yeah, the railing. So you slide down the railing.
The first rail slide, I nailed it. It was like an Olympic gold medal winning slide. And then I thought, you know what? Because I crushed that, I'm gonna go up the steps and go down the big one. I got down, and all I remember is kind of losing balance, and then it all fades to black for me. But it comes back to with flashing lights, and then putting a neck brace on me, and I see everybody from the wedding gathered around me.
Did you go in an ambulance?
We should.
Yes.
And I was in the emergency room for 6 hours with my pants.
Yeah.
Walking around the emergency room with my ass hanging out.
That should be the headline of this podcast. Under contract and walking around the emergency room with the pants off.
And I was wearing bright red underwear. So like, it wasn't like, oh, maybe it's, you know, dark blue. No, it was bright red.
Classy navy blue suit with a slit in the middle and bright red underwear on the inside.
From seam to seam. It was all the way up and all the way down.
Well, I had to spend the night in the emergency room. Everyone's fine, but I doubt you were the weirdest one there based on my experience. So.
Yeah, I'm sure you fit right in.
Yeah.
Did you happen to go on a Saturday night at Northwestern?
No, I have, but that's not the one I'm talking about. But yeah, it's so wild down there at Northwestern. That's what I thought I had meningitis.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. She didn't. She's fine. She's still alive.
I slept weird.
Yeah. So, okay, you're under contract. Then you also have this concussion. And sorry, trying to put this back on the tracks here.
Yeah, thank you.
Blacked out.
And when I told you about this, what had happened, you said, you know what, you should probably, you know, tell everybody, hey, the timeline's a little off. I just had this medical, I just bumped my noggin. We should slow this down and set expectations. I should have taken your advice, because the next day I'm looking at all this mortgage paperwork and I'm looking through the contract review with my attorney, and I have no idea how we got to this point. I'm just trying I was drawing pictures and diagrams. Okay, so this date, this happened. It's very hard to process real estate while you have it.
During attorney review, and mind you, they give us the contract, or they're signing the contract on Friday. They text us on Tuesday saying, "Hey, are they going to pull in the deal, or are they going to pull out the deal? Can they get that contract done?" And we're like, "Holy crap! It's been 24 hours and 24 business hours," and then we send them back the form only for them to take 72 hours plus 72, 96 hours to complete their side of the contract and send it back. So I'm like, why are you making us hurry up? But yeah, y'all are taking y'all sweet time.
There's always this kind of question of like, what is the speed in which response should happen? And I think that for your deal, we did things in a very well executed time period. There should have been no stress on their end. We did everything we should have done in the right amount of time. The sellers got antsy because we're asking questions about like the water leak, and asking questions, meaning we're doing our fucking due diligence, right? Like we're doing the things we need to do to purchase the property. We're not saying we're not purchasing the property. Right. We're not giving any indicators that this is not for us. We're just asking questions. They get freaked out. And they start pressuring you guys of like, when are you going to respond? When are you going to respond? Are you in or are you out? And then that, with all the other red flags we talk about, sort of starts making you feel like, oh shit, I'm like being backed into a corner here. And, you know, concussion on top of that, reading mortgage documents like sideways, you know, I think it was a very stressful week. And by I don't know, divine intervention, grace of God, like it all just kind of worked out. But I think the thing that got us through that, two things that got us through that. The first one is knowing that the property was worth so much more than what you were getting it for. So we had a previous sell in the building that, showed that, hey, this property is worth where we have it at, even if, let's say, worst case scenario, they rip out the whole wall. Maybe there is a special assessment for a couple of grand or, something like that. You're still at a place where you're not going to lose money on this. And as a realtor and your friend, that was really fucking important to me, because when they're waving all these red flags and acting like a bunch of freaking lunatics over there, it became kind of hard to just be like, okay, what's drama and what's the reality of this?
Yeah, that's really hard to parse out sometimes, I think, too. Because of how you feel versus what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's where, like, you bringing in your knowledge of these deals and your experience of selling these really helped, because if I didn't have any sense of how things typically go, I probably would have backed out and regretted it for a while.
Well, thanks for that.
And then, and then on top of that, I think, because my attorney was explaining all the details very, very clearly and really defending my interest, but at the same time, I wanted the deal, and I didn't want any of these small details, to like the tax proration, how we're going to share the taxes paid in arrears. In the end, it would have been about, at most, $800 difference between, I think between 10 and 20. Sorry, 110% and 120%. And I didn't want to lose the deal over that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it takes a while, but you have to realize, hey, wait a minute. No, my attorney's just trying to explain to me all the mechanics of this contract and the agreement we're drafting up. He's not necessarily looking out for my interest, which is making the deal happen. So I need to tell my my attorney to stand down a little, soldier. We're gonna proceed
Mm-hmm.
with the deal.
Well, and I mean,
where it came from.
That's a very good point, Steve, because you think about the amount that you have to lose a deal. And like, if you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to spend a lot of money on a property and I'm going to have something that I'm going to comfortably be able to live in, for many years to come, is it worth killing it over $800 or a couple of grand? And sometimes in the scheme of things, it's not. Okay. So let's cut to, you guys have closed on your property and you haven't really moved in yet, but you get swept away into that HOA meeting.
Yeah. Tell us the whole thing there.
Well, it was in the garage, and it was a circle of camp chairs it almost looked like an AA meeting. It was hilarious to me.
For like COVID safety?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was a garage hangout. They normally do it in the summertime. They'll do it on a rooftop.
Yeah.
And they'll have beverages and snacks. But I think it seemed like this very last minute.
Yeah.
So it was just in the garage.
Our invitation to it was last minute. So one person that lives above us is the treasurer, and she had heard us move in, so she decided to knock on our door and let us know. So I know it's last minute, but come down if you can. You'll meet everyone. We did, and I think our neighbors are pretty rad, and I think the board is super organized. It sounds like they've made a lot of progress at cleaning the place up, and we just hired a new property manager. So I guess the last guy was just incompetent, and the new company was there representing what they're doing. So I feel like the building management is going up. Mm-hmm. Super happy about that. But then we got to talking afterwards with some folks, and they said, they kind of asked some suspicious questions. Do you guys know about the Uptown neighborhood?
Yeah.
Are you familiar? Do you know what's going on here? You realize that we're on the border between two gang turf wars, right there, territories. Thank you. And there's a little bit of crime, and they explained the poop incident and how they had to clean that up, or the man who doesn't like wearing clothes while running around. and a couple shootings. And we've rented this area. We believe that it's only going to get better. We've already seen in the past 5 years, it's got a lot better. So we knew that, but I could definitely understand if you had kids, you'd have a very different feel. And I guess the previous owners did not like any of that. And that was one of their main reasons for leaving.
Yeah,
that's what we gather. So that was the catch. That was the catch that we were sort of looking for the entire time.
Also, when we go on our rooftop, we see a naked woman walking around her apartment.
Oh yeah, so we were there for the
like
showing. Was it the showing or the inspection?
Both.
Both.
We saw
Yeah, she was just in her house, like walking around naked, which I gotta say, I'm not the best. Like I'll sneak by a window sometimes, because my place is so weird and I've got like such a big window. Sometimes I'll do it and I'm like, well, whatever.
No, somebody is definitely talking about me walking around naked in a podcast. I'm sure of it right now.
Same.
It's Chicago. You don't wear clothes all the time.
Yeah.
Not when you're home.
So I forgot about that little moment of welcome to the neighborhood. Here are my boobies. But yeah, I think, they were trying to warn you guys, but also I think they wanted to see your temperament, because I think, we talked after, and I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but it sounded like the previous owners were just like complaining, exacerbated by the area, had kids, just really couldn't deal with much of that's the city to me, right? Like we had a horrible shootout off of Milwaukee, right by my house over here. Like at 4:52 on a Tuesday. Like, I feel like this is what Chicago is right now. It sucks because I feel like it was better pre-COVID. It's just gotten way rough, but so they were trying to see where you guys were at with the location. Also, you're both like really tall, muscular dudes. Like, I don't know. I feel like
And
I think
we are two both big people, and then we have dogs aside.
Yeah, your dogs are very healthy too. Yeah.
We have a pit bull and a Rhodesian Ridgeback who looks like a moose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when we're walking around, I think it feels pretty safe.
Yeah.
Even though neither one of them will save me from anything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the best.
Did you figure out who put up the water leak sign? Did anyone?
Yes.
Oh.
We did. We didn't inquire too much about it, to be honest, but we know who did it. We know who lives in that apartment. We just really inquire it. One thing was Steven wanted me to come out hand swinging with, especially, hey, what's this? What's these issues? So we kind of wanted to make a good first impression in HOA meeting.
Yeah, totally.
So it was more like, hey, how's it going? And I think that they were getting mixed feelings, but also excited filling us out, because they're like, ooh, a gay couple moved into the building. Yeah, we're making it.
That increases the property value.
So we got sort of happy-go-lucky welcoming, which is awesome.
Yeah,
so
really nice.
It wasn't at the end. It wasn't necessarily a warning sign.
No, I think we didn't talk about it explicitly. We're going to soon, but I think it pertains to the water leak above the door.
Yeah. There's also there's another unit in the front facing on the other side of the building that is experiencing the same thing we are.
Yeah.
And the HOH are helping it out, because I overheard them discussing that in the meeting.
Yeah.
So it almost might be like for the property manager to know where it's happening, which windows. Yeah.
To try to fix everything at once.
Well, and that's so common. Such an issue.
Water gets into places. You just have to, address it and fix it. I feel like we're handy enough. We're not afraid of like home projects and stuff. Like I plan on.
Yeah, you guys are so handy. So we're not actually in front of the curtains anymore. We're actually in Bruges, in my living room. But the curtains we were using for about a couple of months, like 4 or 5 months, we were actually working in front of the curtains you guys hung in my bed, both my bedrooms.
Oh, thank you.
Why aren't you guys filming in front of them anymore? Do they fall down?
No. They're so wonderful. I think the reason why we switched out here was we were having, when we did the Zoom-ish meetings, even though I have like 3 different extensions going back to that back bedroom, my space, because this is that cable car style property, it's very hard to have consistent internet. And when we're recording these podcasts, it became very difficult to keep the connection. Yeah. So we immediately had, basically my couch is split into 2 sections right now, and we're in the middle of my living room.
Oh, a little behind the scenes reveal. Okay.
How the magic happens.
How it happens. It's dysfunctional.
Love it. And since moving in as well, we've already replaced the faucet because the faucet had
it just wasn't.
It wasn't fit right. And then Steve lost our mail key before even moving in. So we
that's a hard one.
Come in and replace our mail key.
No, it turns out that I could have done this myself. If you lose a mail key, all you have to do is drill into the lock, pop it out, and replace it. And then you got the new keys to the new lock. They destroy the existing lock in order to replace it.
Get out there.
And if I had known how it was done, I could have done it maybe for $30. But it was $115 for the guy.
Damn, hindsight. Yeah.
But you don't have to even involve the post office. We had to do this once, and we were like, oh no, we don't have a mail delivery person, like not a consistent one. So it's a thing I'm having to do.
That's great. Yeah, you're very handy. So I knew that you'd be able to tackle all the projects, and small and big. Yeah. Well, hey, you guys, I'm so grateful you guys decided to do our podcast, because I just love you both so much. Thank you for doing this. And I can't wait to see the space tomorrow night. So congratulations.
So
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your help.
No, it's my pleasure. It was so much fun. And in hindsight, to talk about these things, it's like, it was a journey for sure. And like, just seeing you guys there just brings tears to my eyes, because it's just worth it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. And then in conclusion, we decided not to move out of state.
Yeah. Don't tell me in 18 months you need me to list this, because then people are going to be like, what the hell? 2 owners have lasted for 2 seconds each time. Right? They're going to cut to, this is haunted. That's what they're going to think. Like,
Probably this place is cursed.
Yeah. Try to make it at least 2 years before you head to Denver, or we'll do like a rental or something.
Yeah.
I dig that. We'll be here 5 to 7 years, I think.
Yeah.
And hopefully Uptown will flourish by then. We'll see. That's the bet.
Fingers crossed. All right. Thank you guys so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.